So today we're reviewing
The Batman.
Okay, so this is the first movie review of 2022. It's already March, and this is the first official new movie we're reviewing. And this is the newest incarnation of the Batman. We've had a lot of different Batmans just in our lifetimes. We've had the Michael Keaton, the Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Jeffrey Ridgway. There's a lot of different incarnations.
There's a lot going. And Jeffrey Ridgway actually played multiple.
This newest incarnation is
Robert Pattinson.
We saw the movie last night, really late. And what are your initial thoughts of the Batman?
I would say I walked out of watching The Batman with a lot of things that I liked about it, but there was also some things that didn't exactly hit for me. And I don't want to say I left mixed, but I'd say I left pretty much enjoying the movie, but feeling a little bit mixed on some things. So without a doubt, it's above average, and it's going to be above that average number for me. But while there were some absolutely great things about it that I think were perfect, there were some things that were less than perfect that were really annoying when we were driving home.
Yeah, I agree. There's some really good stuff, but then some stuff I really did not like. And this is a roller coaster in my opinion with this movie.
Because the long one.
It was, well, not only the fact that it was long, but also it's like really good, really bad, really good, really bad. Like there was just stuff I really liked and then stuff that really bothered me, and it was just up and down the whole time. And until the very end, that's how it was. So I thought it was a good movie, but it wasn't an amazing movie. And there's a lot of stuff I liked, a lot of stuff that bothers me. Why don't we go into our positives? This is non-spoiler once again.
Yeah, I'd say without a doubt, one of the things that I still think is I'm still kind of thinking about right now, even at almost 24 hours since seeing the movie, was the soundtrack was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Not only just the actual the score, the person who did the score was an epic score from the very beginning when they're showing certain scenes with that music. It's nice to have Batman have a theme. So, like, Batman's theme was awesome in this movie. And even some of the music was great as well. There was a song that they played at the beginning and at the end. I kind of liked that as well.
Yeah.
It matched the theme of the movie, which was a very, dark... It's a very dark movie. There's not much optimism. There's a lot of... That's kind of what Gotham City is, though. Like, Gotham's supposed to be a very corrupt, messed up area, which is why there's so many freaking criminals that are there. I mean, the acting, for the most part, was pretty good, in my opinion, especially from the main characters, like Batman, Alfred... And even Gordon was played great by that guy. I liked him a lot. But the acting was great. There were some very good, I don't want to say great, there were some very good fight sequences. My favorite one being at the very beginning, honestly. And outside of that, the story, I liked certain elements of the story. I liked how it was kind of like an investigative type movie. Because you don't usually get to see that side of Batman, like I said, I don't read the comics, but he's supposed to be a very smart, like, investigator type guy. And they definitely utilized that part of him a lot in this movie, way more than I've seen other Batman reincarnations. There's some pretty good action. There's a great car chase I liked a lot. But I think my favorite thing out of the entire movie had to be the Batman portrayal by Robert Pattinson and the music.
The biggest positives for me is definitely the overall feel of the movie. The darker tone really suits this movie. The acting is really good. The action was okay. But, like, I'm being completely honest. If I said every movie was amazing, like, at the same level, it takes away from other movies.
Yeah.
And I still think the best action fighting from the Batman movies is Ben Affleck and Batman v Superman. Because there's still some good fights in this, but I didn't think it took it to that level. The fighting is good. There's a lot of really cool things we can talk about in spoilers, but the way they, I guess, hype up Batman or just the way they establish him in this universe is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they do stuff where people in the city know about Batman. They know, and they're afraid. And it's just so cool, the stuff they do with that.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
I still, Catwoman was also good in this movie. Delivers one of the dumbest lines. We'll get into that. But I thought was good in this movie. Alfred was really good, the new Alfred. Gordon was really good. I thought him and Robert Pattinson played off each other really well.
Great.
And I'd say that's... And Penguin. So Penguin was also really good. He was funny.
And the Riddler.
And excellent. I'd love to see a full movie with him.
Yeah.
And the main villain I thought was good. He was intimidating and he was good. Why don't we go into our negatives?
He was good. It was just the usage of him and how they like...
Yeah, that's why. We'll go right into our negatives there. I thought he was good, but that goes into a negative.
I mean, I will say the fight sequences never got to the warehouse scene, but the action, there wasn't enough of the action, in my opinion. maybe three. Like this is like a 2 hours and 58 minute movie.
There wasn't a lot.
And there was like maybe 3 or 4 fights.
There really
wasn't one boss fight because I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but the villains that they chose for this movie, Penguin being like a mob boss type guy, not a fighter, and the Riddler being more of a psychological villain, which they do some great scenes with that. Well, so there was never really a payoff with the Riddler in a fight scene per se, and the end got a little bit sloppy in my opinion. There's a lot going on in this end sequence, and there's stuff that I like. It was already kind of crazy enough with what was going on, but then you throw in another element with like with water being mixed in. There's a lot going on, like electricity, and there's just a lot going on the screen, and I think that kind of hinders the end of this movie a little bit. It was too long. I think the pacing of the movie was just all over the place because there's some great moments, and the music really was an awesome back up to like some of the scenes that were going on, especially the very beginning. That very beginning is perfect in my opinion with how they set him up and did some really cool things with that. But it was just too long, and there's some scenes that dragged, and they just, like I said, some of the side characters, there's a lot of side characters that they get into in this. Catwoman, in my opinion, was okay. I don't think she was as good as the Catwoman that we saw in The Dark Knight Rises, in my opinion. I think she did a better job, in my opinion. I just think she was
given, I agree. I think she was better.
Yeah, just her look, and I think it probably helps there wasn't a line said, but there's also just the way they used her in this movie. I don't know. I mean, she's supposed to. I don't know. She just didn't.
She made names.
She didn't have her mask on half the time. She had like her face was showing. Batman.
Well, that's a
positive. Batman was Batman. If you were to say, because obviously every Batman movie is gonna have Batman and Bruce Wayne. If I had to think about a percentage for this, I'd say he was 90% Batman, 10% Bruce Wayne, maybe even more percent Batman, which is awesome. Most actors don't do that. And just a quick side comment on Robert Pattinson. Before I even knew I knew who he was from the Twilight movies. I was always like, really, the Twilight vampire guy's gonna be the next Batman? But then we saw him in Tenet, and we loved him in that. And then he was great in this. So Robert Pattinson is a much better actor than I thought he was when I was a kid. So I'm very happy he's Batman. I still like Ben Affleck, his look and just the feel of him a little bit more.
Just made this turn 10 minutes.
But yeah, I'd say Robert Pattinson did a great job.
So my biggest negative to this movie is probably the ending. It's mainly the direction they take. There are some really good villains, but it seems like they're going from this point to trying to go after this person. But then it just goes like, I don't want to spoil it. It seems like you understand where the movie's going, but then it just goes off the rails and off to the side, and then it connects back, and there was just too much going on. And it's interesting to have a lot of stuff going on, so it's not simple to know what's happening, what's going to happen. But I just feel like this movie, it went to the point where something was happening on screen, and I'm thinking, I don't really even care about this. Like, I want to get back to this other thing, and it's like, what is even happening right now? Yeah. I'm concerned about this other plot point, and that was very frustrating. I was also frustrated with certain character decisions, how certain characters react to Batman. I thought were really over the top, and I didn't understand it. There's characters that seem to not like Batman, and it made no sense at all. That was another negative. And then, honestly, the main, I said the fights were okay, but there honestly probably wasn't enough. And I think there was just, the way they dealt with the villains at the end is probably my biggest negative, because there was a great build-up, and then it just let down in the end.
And there's just, I think it's hard with characters that you're going to keep seeing new iterations of the same character, and you're obviously going to just naturally think about the last ones and the ones that came before it. And in my opinion, there's things that the past Batmans have done better. Overall, I left the theater liking a lot of things, some things I wish they could have done better. And definitely stay at the end, at least at the very end of the movie. There's a cool little teaser involving the villains, but then I'm not going to put the credit scene. But like the end credit scene, you could probably skip that. But it was still pretty cool to see. But I would have to say my score for this movie, I was at this score originally. Then a certain line was delivered, and I was like, I don't know, I'm starting to waver on this score now. But then leaving the theater, the more that the movie went along, it just felt like it was kind of just thrown in there to be an a-hole. And I'd probably say I'd have to give the Batman a 7 out of 10. I was leaning towards maybe a 6.5, but I'll give it a low 7 out of 10. And like I said, it's an okay movie, but I'm going to save those 8s and 9s and 10s for the stellar movies out there.
Very few, like, really stellar movies, and you should reserve, those high numbers for those stellar movies.
Pretty good movie.
It was a pretty good movie.
I'll have to give the Batman a 7 out of 10. Yeah,
honestly, walking out of this movie, it was really a roller coaster. There's things that are so good about it. There's things that I hated. There's stuff that is really cool, but honestly, I think it's too long. There's good fight scenes, and there's a really good environment here. I just think the movie really needed to commit. There was too many things going on. Take out one of the storylines, really focus in on that one thing. And the ending, I wish could be different, because other Batman movies, I just feel like they nail the endings. This, it has such a good beginning, middle, and close to end. Really similar to Suicide Squad. The ending just definitely failed for me, and it just didn't leave me satisfied. And so I'll give this a 7 out of 10. I really wanted to give it higher, but I just keep thinking about all the things it could have been instead of what it was. And it really let me down with the end. There's some really cool stuff, but it just didn't make it up to those top tier levels.
Yeah. It was a pretty good movie. Guys, that's our non-spoiler review of The Batman. And stay tuned for possibly a spoiler discussion in a live stream at some point. But if not, be ready for more of the March.
Monster Madness will continue Monday. Yeah. We need to talk about a lot of this in spoilers. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it before Monster Madness is over.
Yeah, because
we got to talk about it eventually. This is already way too long of a review.
Because we're getting into March Madness season here, so get ready for some content coming out. That's our non-spoiler review of The Batman, and we will see you guys. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Kenny gave it a 7 out of 10. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
The hell are you supposed to be? Put down the fucking Roman candle!